Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is someone helping people slow down, become more present, and truly experience life as it's happening. Billy Mandarino is an author, speaker, and creator of the Nowist philosophy, a powerful approach to living fully in the present moment and breaking free from fear, overthinking, and distraction. Through his work, Billy teaches people how to reconnect with themselves, own their personal power, and live with greater awareness and purpose. Billy, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Sekani, I'm honored. It's my very first time to speak to the incredible people of Nigeria.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's see how
Honored,
that goes. Thank
truly
you,
honored.
Billy. All right. Okay, so heads up, we're diving into your 20s just a little bit, right? Okay, so take us back to your 20s, right? What was your mindset like at that time, and how were you navigating life back then?
I love that question because not many, I've been on a lot of podcasts, but no one has ever asked me that question. I think it's brilliant because in my 20s, I was dealing with a lot of what inspired me to bring the Nowist teachings into the world, which are teaching people how to live in the present moment as a way of life. Not so
Mm,
much caught up in time and past and future, but in my 20s, my early 20s, like when I was 20, I was having a lot of stress, a lot of overwhelm, a lot of
mm,
anxiety, a lot of trauma, some physical traumas, mostly emotional trauma, because I got a big time modeling contract in New York to be a professional model. And I thought
mm,
that was going to be the thing that fulfilled me. But right before that, just right before that, I was a pole vaulter in high school, and I was doing great. And I got second in state the year before, and then my senior year, when I was 19 years old, I broke my pole and hurt myself. Had to go to the hospital. It was a very dangerous accident I had where my pole broke and my head hit the back of the box, and it was very dangerous. So I end up recovering, but mentally, I couldn't get over the fact that I almost died and I never could compete
mm.
the same. I was living in that past fear. There comes the nowist teaching, living in the present moment. And then I went to New York and I got a big time modeling contract, and it was nothing like I thought. It was even more trauma. I was just chewed up and spit out of they say, it's the big apple, right? The big apple took a bite out of me. And then I left New York just dejected and lost. So my 20s was a gift. I kind of made up my spiritual practice as I look in reverse now about how that taught me how to find the present moment. Because Sakani, you have to go through the hard things in life. You have to go through those
Mm.
challenges to understand, there's contrast there. Like, this is not how I want to be. There's a better way. And I found it in the Taoist teachings.
Wow. Ah, okay. So I like that you found yourself, right, in your 20s, right?
Yeah.
And there's just one thing about my generation, right? We are so full of anxiety. I've noticed that about this generation. Everybody is so caught up in what will they become in the future? How will they navigate the future? Everybody's about the future and nobody's about now, which makes it a quite sad generation, not to generalize, but like
Yes, you're right. You're
most
so
people,
right.
right? So yeah, I like what you're doing and I like that you're letting us know in as much as we all want a better future, we also need to live now. We need to enjoy now, right? So moving to now, right? You talk about becoming a nowist, right? So what does that actually mean in simple terms?
Well, that's a great question too, because to be a Nowist, that word doesn't exist. It didn't exist before. If you bear with me, I downloaded. It came from God. It was an inspiration that came upon my life from God as it was a gift from God, because
Mm,
I was dealing with so much stress and anxiety. I was getting physical problems. I was ruining relationships financially, in terrible conditions. Just couldn't relate to people because I was so in my head and so in my
mm,
past. I mean, I love this analogy. So I have a car that has a really big windshield, big windscreen, right? And your rear
mm,
view mirror that you look in is so small. But I was spending most of my life looking in that rearview mirror, trying to drive my vehicle forward. And you know what would happen if you tried to go forward looking in that rearview mirror, you're going to crash your car every time. Well, I was constantly pushing up against the world and crashing, if you will, all these opportunities and these wonderful things that could happen in my life. But I was so stuck in the past. I was going forward, looking in the rearview mirror, and it was definitely ruining my life. So through that pain, through that contrast, I realized that I read some great books. One by Eckhart Tolle called The Power of Now. I read a book by Neville Goddard called The Power of Imagination, Power of Awareness. Dr. Wayne Dyer wrote this incredible book called The Power of Intentions. I was reading these books and I was realizing, how am I going to change my life? How am I going to get out of this past rear view mirror, this negativity that's all of my past trauma, that I'm living in this present moment? I'm not really being in the present moment. This moment is full of looking backwards. I thought, how could I create a life where I didn't live in that rear view mirror? And so this word came to me, the Nowist. To be a Nowist is someone who lives consistently in the present moment as a way of life. So then I started practicing what I was learning from all these different teachers. I spent 10 years deep diving. I didn't go to college, but I had a PhD in spirituality and self-actualization, studying Abraham Maslow and all these great teachers. And I learned that the present moment is the most powerful point of your day to create change. But that present moment happens all the time. We just rarely spend time there. We think 40 to 50,000 thoughts a day, Sekani. And then most of the time, the next day, we're thinking the same 40 to 50,000 thoughts. But what if I filled those thoughts with present moment awareness? What if, when I felt stressed, I focused on my breath. I used in my imagination, which is one of the greatest gifts we've ever been given, to focus on what I want now in this moment, what I call thinking from the end instead of about the end. I learned that from Neville Goddard, a wonderful teacher of spirituality. So thinking from the end, not about the end, there's totally two different things. About the end is like, okay, I'm going to, what's a goal you have in your life, Sekani? What's something you want to accomplish in your life?
Hey, a great speaker, right?
Okay,
I
you want
was,
to be a great speaker.
yeah,
That's a
exactly.
goal. Like speak on stages,
On
speak
stages,
on
particularly.
stages, speak to a group of people. Well, what I have learned, and this is the shift for me, to be a nowist, you don't think about the end. About the end would be, okay, Sakana, you're going to have to start small. Start at high school, start at middle schools, grade schools, right? Start at small church assemblies. Then you want to work your way up, right? And you have to like maybe send out emails, send out flyers, send out Instagram posts and Facebook posts and TikTok posts and try and build it up, right? And you said eventually you'll get there. You'll be on a stage with 10,000 people. And let's say that's your big goal. But the reality is this present moment has all of the trappings of the end, that it's already done. So what I've learned to do, I'm in my master bedroom. This is the bed my wife and I sleep in. Every night when I want to manifest something in my life, when I want to attract something into my life, I imagine from the end. So if it was me, if I had your goal, I would imagine every night before I get to bed, I would think and feel and use all five of my senses to imagine that I'm already on this I'm all at the biggest auditorium in Nigeria, and you're speaking and you're holding the audience captive. And all five of your senses are feeling what it feels like. You're hearing your voice, you're hearing the applause, you're feeling the lights that are hitting you. Your hands are sweaty, you're excited, but you're just killing it. You're just doing an amazing job. And I would do that every night before I go to bed. Last 5 minutes before I would think that. And then when I get up in the morning, I think the same thing. And what happens is the universe will start to give you experiences that line up with that feeling, because the language of attraction is feeling. Tesla said it's frequency, energy, and there's a power in energy and frequency and emotion. And if you can do that enough, you will start to attract what it is you want. So to be a Nowist is someone who lives that way as a way of life. That's a long version of the story, but the truth is, when you're a Nowist, 90% of your day, you live in that state. 10%, you have appointments, emails, pay the bills. You've got to go take care of people, meet people, do your job. But if you live as a Nowist, you'll find that you flip that. And most people spend 90% of their day stressed out, worrying about their job, stressing about what they don't want, going to bed and thinking about everything that's wrong with their life instead of what they want. And then 10% of the time they meditate, go to church, they might read the Bible or pray or read a spiritual text. But you have to invert that. 90% in presence, 10% in the physical world.
Okay. Now, my head has been open to a whole new perspective to life, right? Which I really do appreciate. And while you were talking, I remember something a guest said, right? She said, if thoughts were prayers, would you still think them? Right. So those negative thoughts that people always think, imagine it was prayer, would you still think about those things? So just like what you said, always, try and imagine, think about the life you want, not the process, but the outcome that you want, right, for your life. Just
Yes.
think about it, and the universe just finds a way for it to align, and then it becomes reality. So yes, thank you for that word,
Yes.
actually.
It's the truth. It's the truth. I'm telling you from experience and from all the folks I've coached and taught over the last 10 years, it's the truth.
Wow. Okay. So yes, talking about I feel like you've just given us an expo, right, on how we can become a Nowist, but I feel there's still more to it, right? You told us always, control your thoughts, make it meaningful, make your thoughts meaningful. But yes, do you still have more things to advise us, right, in how to become a Nowist? Because trying to overcome past traumas is a bit hard, right?
Yes.
So it's difficult. So how can one try to overcome those traumas and become a novice, basically?
Okay, so it's step one to any change in your life always comes from awareness. Are
Mm,
you aware that you have this place in your life where you're not fulfilled, where you're not
mm,
satisfied? There's something you want to attain in your life. It could be anything, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, societally. You just feel like this is not, I'm not living up to this vision that I have of myself. And to
mm,
live into any new change, first step one is awareness. But step two is, what are your habits? What are your
mm,
rituals? What's your morning ritual? What's your evening ritual? Wonderful quote from William Wordsworth. It says, habits rule the unreflecting herd. I'm going to say it again because it's so good. Habits rule the unreflecting herd. We're all ruled by our habits. But the problem is, most people spend 95% of their day using their subconscious mind, and you go through this habitual way of living where you just do the
mm,
same thing you did. Like, remember I said 40 to 50,000 thoughts a day. You do the same habits you did yesterday and last week, and you're going to do them again in a month from now. The problem is you don't have the awareness that something needs to change. So your habits kind of determine your destiny. So if you want to change, to be a Nowist, you have to start new habits. You have to
mm,
create a whole new version of yourself, but it starts incrementally and small with new
mm,
habits that you weren't doing before. Getting up in the morning, having a gratitude ritual, prayer, meditation, moving your body, eating right,
mm,
like not going to sleep with the TV on, with all the terrible things that are going on in the world with the news, like, and not waking
mm,
up to that news, or grabbing your phone first thing in the morning instead of having gratitude and
mm,
prayer and moving your body and drinking a lot of water. I mean, good rituals. Then you focus with your imagination, which I believe is one of the greatest gifts God has given us, is the power of our imagination. So if you have new rituals and new habits, the things that you want in your life will kind of mysteriously start to show up. And you think, wow, I'm just so lucky. How fortunate. No, you actually had the awareness that there was a problem, something you need to
mm,
change. And then step two, you started new rituals and habits. And step three is get ready to receive, because your life is not going to look the same as it used to once you get on that path.
okay, wow. Okay, so step one is awareness, right? Step two
Yes.
is building the habits, and then step three is getting ready to receive. Hmm.
Receive. Yes, receive, because it's coming. And most people, Sekani, what I find is that they're just not ready to receive. They're like,
Hmm.
I'm so used to being this old way, this old conditioning, these old rituals. It feels comfortable because
Hmm.
people crave certainty, but the unknown is where the growth is.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's amazing. Actually, thinking about it, that's amazing because a whole lot of people want something, but like you said, if you miss one step out of these three steps you just took, I feel like that's a whole path to misalignment. You're just gonna be misaligned, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
you need to first be aware and then groom yourself for what you actually want, build those habits, and then you can now receive. While some people, they are aware, they groom themselves, but they're not ready to receive it. Right.
Yes.
So
That's right.
how would you, advise someone in such situation? Someone who they're aware, they are building those habits, but they are not mentally ready to receive it. What would you say to them?
So there have been studies, I think it was a Harvard study or a study of a big time university. They did this. the study of how long does it take for a new habit to just inculcate and become part of you. How many
Mm,
days would you have to start a new process, a new ritual, a new routine? And it's 66 days. If you'll do
mm,
something for 66 days, the receiving part will become more natural because if you have awareness to you're someplace you don't want to be. Eckhart Tolle says, the first step out of stress is the minute you're aware you are stressed. Most people just live in this stressful state and think that's how it is because I got to pay the bills and I got a tough relationship and my kids are sick and my parents are aging and I think I got all these terrible things that are not these terrible things, but these challenging things that are happening in my life. They're not aware that they're stressed out. So most people aren't aware. But if you can do step one and then step two, well, you have to do step two for 66 days because they've proven through science 66
mm,
days, your subconscious mind reprograms. Your body will start to step in alignment with these new rituals. And then
mm.
receiving will be so much easier because these new powerful rituals will take over because 95% of everything you do is with our unconscious or subconscious mind. It's about reprogramming your mind. And it takes 66 days from something new to show up in your life to actually become integrated in part of who you are.
Right. Wow. Okay. 66 days. Noted.
Yes, check.
Noted, actually. Yes. So thank you so much. This has
My
been
pleasure.
amazing, actually. And I think it's a very important conversation, especially for young adults who are trying to, gain clarity from life. And yeah, I have this one question that keeps coming to my head, right? It's quite ironical for, I'll call you the Nowist, right? So what do you plan on what are you working on currently for the future? I know you're the Nowist, right? But what are you currently working on for the future?
Oh, great. So what am I working on currently for the future? I'm
Yes.
so glad you asked that because the Taoist teachings have been around since 2018.
Mm,
I've toured all over the world speaking to businesses, high schools, middle schools, grade schools about teaching people how to live in this manner of living in the present moment. I call it being a
mm,
Taoist. And then I've also done two live events where we
mm,
had, a couple hundred people in a room. We would globally live stream the events. Our last one was in 2022. And I still coach people one on one. But I realized if I'm going to serve more people, I need to get on bigger screens, bigger stages. I need to help the world meet the
mm,
world where they are. And I don't
mm,
know about you, but most people love to watch movies.
mm,
People love movies. They watch streaming services, they go to the theaters. So we've spent the last 3 years working on a feature-length film, a movie. So
mm,
if you go to billymandarino.com, which is my
mm,
website, it's my name, billymandarino.com, and that's spelled Billy, BILLYMANDARINO.com. You can click on it where you can watch a trailer for our film. We're still fundraising for our film. We want to shoot it this October, but we really need to raise more funds to shoot the movie. But this movie is a story that's going to help people find the unrealized trauma within themselves and how to overcome it, and how the story of this protagonist, Thomas, that goes through this childhood trauma. His wife is running for the mayor of Santa Barbara. There's a serial killer. It's a psychological thriller, but it's
mm,
teaching people through the storytelling, through cinema, how to overcome this malady that's affecting 2/3 of the planet, Sekani. 2/3 of the
mm.
planet has an unrealized trauma they don't even know they have.
Wow. That's actually a very interesting and like captivating way to, draw people's attention through the movies. Actually, you're right about that one. And yes, I'm looking forward to your movie. I believe it's gonna do numbers to people. It's gonna do a lot to change lives and most especially, which is my my wish, right, to make my generation a happier generation, much more happier. I want us to live life in the now, not in the past or future, even though we're all planning for the future, but I want us to enjoy now. So yes, thank you so much, Billy. This has been amazing. And I have just this one question for you before you go, right? So yeah, if you could give one piece of honest advice to someone in their 20s who is currently worrying about their future or feeling behind in life, what would it be?
It'd be this one thing: find somebody who has what you want or somebody that's even less fortunate than you and serve them.
Mm,
But don't ask for a thank you. Don't ask for anything in return. Just find somebody that a family member, a stranger, somebody that is in a situation where you can give them advice. It could be money, it could be your leftovers from dinner, it could be a hug, it could be speaking to an elderly person, anything that you can do to take the attention off yourself and become a servant. Because the ego, right? Ego, I've learned is an acronym, EGO, edging God out. So and we're all here to be of service. I believe all of us are on this planet, Sekani, to be of service to others. So in your 20s, I know it's like, okay, I got to make it in the world. I got a lot to do. I got university, I've got bills, and I've gone to college. I'm trying to get a job. But when you can take your victim mentality and get it off your awareness, get it off of your thinking, and start serving people, miracles start to happen where you start serving and just being kind. The power of gratitude, the power of being thankful for what you have, and then if you have enough, give it away. If you can start serving people from that kind of place, you just watch out. Your life will start to change. The things that you want will start being, those old patterns will be interrupted because it starts with service and it starts with gratitude.
Okay. Oh, that one pierced through my heart right now. I felt it. Oh my goodness. And yes, I'm definitely going to adopt that one because it just makes it like it makes me feel happy. I mean, trying to help people and just try to put ego aside and genuinely connect with somebody, right? And just make them the center instead of making yourself the center of your life all the time, right? So yes, I do appreciate that one actually. And yeah, this brings me to the final segment of my podcast. It's called the rapid fire segment.
Love
Are
it.
you
Bring it
ready?
on.
Okay, this is different actually. So yeah, starting now, one habit that instantly brings you back to the present moment.
One, what? I'm sorry?
One habit that
Oh,
instantly brings you back to the present moment.
breath. Breathe in your nose,
Hmm.
hold it. Your breath is the quickest way to take you out of stress.
All right. Wow. Okay. Okay. So a book or lesson that changed your life.
Other than the Bible, The
Hmm.
Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Hmm. The Alchemist. Okay. All right. And yes, what's something people overcomplicate about life?
They think way too much. If you can control your
Hmm.
thinking and stop thinking so much, that habit, if you can get the thinking out of your mind, your life will be completely different than it is today. If you can start controlling your thinking.
Okay. Wow. All right. And one thing your 20-year-old self got wrong.
Ooh, comparison mentality. There's a
Hmm.
famous satirist from America called Mark Twain. He said,
Hmm.
comparison is the death of joy.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. All right. Yes, I'm learning. I'm learning. And
You're
finally,
amazing. I really appreciate it. I love your smile. I love your energy. You're joy. You are joy.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And just this one, finally, right? What's one word you want people to feel after hearing your message?
One word?
Yes. Or maybe you can more than one. It's fine too.
I would just say love.
Hmm.
Love. It all goes down to love. We all want to be loved. We're all searching for love, but if you can be love, that's all you need.
Okay. All right. And you're right about that one because hearing your message just makes me feel love, right? Like you said. So yeah, you're doing amazing. All right. So thank you so much, Billy. And where can listeners get to know more about your work and what you do?
Well, if you go to billymandarino.com, I've got 600 free videos. If you go, it links out to my YouTube channel, my LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. If you go to billymandarino.com, you can hear about our movie, watch our trailer. I have a band. You can also hear the theme song that we've recently written as a music video. So that's kind of the hub for all the Nowist teachings.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Billy. For your Instagram, I'm checking that one out immediately after this. All right, Billy. Thank you. And to my listeners, thanks for tuning in to Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, just as it did in me, make sure to share to someone you think might need this and also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Yeah, thank you so much, Billy. And yeah, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Mandarino. right?
Correct. Perfect. Beautiful.
Yay! All right. Thank you, Billy. Do have a wonderful day. And yes,
Thank
I'm
you.
really grateful for this.
My pleasure. You are wonderful. I appreciate you so much. Peace be with you.
All right. And peace be with you too.